ultimate goal is to achieve the highest possible racket speed at the contact point. Move the handle first, away from body. This potential power. Shoulder turn should pass, back hip more. 3 components here. Massive coil. Loose, fixed, tilted wrist. Hi everyone, my name is Milan from Serbia. I'm founder of TENFITMEN. I'm a professional tennis player and coach. What's up guys? Welcome back to another TENFITMEN video. Today I'm going to share with you 5 golden tips for massive forehand. Are you ready? Let's get into it. In general, when we talk about the massive shots or the fast shots, the ultimate goal is to achieve the highest possible racket speed at the contact point. So all the tips today will help us to achieve that. Let's get started. The first tip, the first thing you want to focus on is, as I call this, maneuvering the racket from the handle. So when you make a swing, you don't want to kind of move the racket by thinking about the racket head, but actually move the handle first. That's how I like to explain it, and it's my opinion, of course. So here, maneuver from the handle, right? Whatever is your swing, it can be here as well, but I still move the handle first, and then down is the handle, right? And also out handle, and then here is kind of brush. So it's maneuvering from the handle. It can really be a game changer. Number 2, getting an early turn, of course, and then here, achieving this good power position. And here is the key, having the elbow higher and also away from body. So that will give you this potential power or the leverage that you can use the gravity to help you release it afterwards, right? So that is the tip here, elbow away from body and high here. And also making sure that you hold this position until the last moment, because one thing is you can get here, but then you can lose it early and then you still kind of slow down, right? So make sure you hold it and then release. Number 3 is related to the other parts of the body in this position, which is the shoulder turn and then the hips, right? So the shoulder turn should pass the hip turn. We call this separation angle, right? But then right before you start the drop and the rest, you want to get slightly more the back hip here, right? So separation angle and then back hip more, and then that gives you an extra range to kind of start the turn with that hip. That leads me to the tip number 4 for today, and that is after the drop here, what happens, right? So we have this extra hip turn, and then you want to use that hip first to start after the drop, right? And then we go first the hip, and then roughly right after that you go non-dominant arm pulls away. And some players maybe even bring it here, but you want to think about this shoulder, you need to kind of open up. I like to keep the left arm, the non-dominant arm, straight up and kind of hip pulling this and then pulling the racket. So we have this kind of 3 components here, right, to create this massive coil. And you notice this with the biggest forehand in the world, right? They have all this, they have this back hip, bam, non-dominant arm, and then of course pulling here, and then later smashing the ball. Finally, the tip number 5 is about control of your body rotation. It's kind of contradictory. So you first want to create a massive like rotation, right? The massive, the very powerful uncoiling action, which is here, but then here, the number 5 tip is about controlling the head and also upper body to kind of stop right before we hit, so that the racket can accelerate through and then go here, if that makes sense. It's pure physics, right? You kind of initiate, then you stop here, and then, right? Instead of doing this, stop, and then racket accelerates and stay still. And on top of this, I'm gonna give you the bonus tip, and it's in general how you should stay more loose, right? You gotta stay loose. The wrist should be loose, relaxed, but I call this kind of fixed, right? Because you wanna have this kind of angle almost fixed throughout the whole swing. I talk about this tilted wrist, right? Fixed, and loose, but then as you pull right here in this range, between the pulling moment and the contact, you gotta kind of squeeze the racket a bit, so here you're a bit more stable, right? But overall, loose, very loose, and then with a fixed wrist that is still loose, and then boom, stable and good, right? Let me do a recap. The tip number one, maneuver the racket from the handle, bam, 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 right? Always first, pulling back the handle, handle down, handle here. Number two was about the leverage, elbow up and away from body, then you can keep this leverage or this potential power and the gravity to assist you. Number three was this position with the shoulders turning more than hips, separation angle, and then also the back hip slightly getting back in the last moment to give that extra range of motion and the uncoiling part. And then we have number four, after the drop, we have, again, it's the hip, the start of the hip, non-dominant arm, kind of pull, right? And then pulling here. Of course, this is to help you to initiate this massive uncoiling, right? So after drop, bam, bam, and pull right into the contact. And here, number five is stopping, controlling your body and the head right before you hit. You stop, and this is where non-dominant arm helps, because after the pull, it kind of comes back and kind of stops you, prevents you from overturning. But you have to control your head as well. So here you're stable, and the racket goes very fast through the ball. The uncoiling and the left arm, it's also pure physics, right? Here, pull out, and then you stop. Pull, stop, and then pull. Right? So we have that kind of rotation, stopping, and then accelerating. The racket goes fast through. And finally, the bonus tip was about being loose throughout the whole swing, but having this tilted wrist relatively fixed, stable, fixed but loose. And then as you pull, after that you have to a little bit control the firmness of the grip, because at the contact you gotta be stable, right? We cannot afford moving of the wrist here, very still. And then of course this finish of the high elbow. Wow. Finally you get this result. Massive forehand. I hope that was helpful and that you enjoyed it. If so, smash that like button. And of course, if you have some friends that you believe they can benefit from this, and maybe they're not necessarily your rivals, because they don't want your rivals to improve, of course you want, because then you're going to also improve. So any tennis friends, including your rivals, share this video with them so they can also build up their forehands. And if you have any comments or suggestions or questions, you can put them down in the comments. And you can check all the other social media platforms, all the links below in the description. That's it. Keep training, keep working on these little details. It's gonna help you adding these small pieces one by one, putting the puzzle together, and you're gonna build this massive forehand. It can also help you become much better and more dangerous advanced player. That's it. Thank you again so much for watching. I'll see you soon in our next video.